star. Let's talk about Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes, who was 25-4 in the regular season over the last 2 years, made the Super Bowl both of those years, and of course won one of those two. And yet, looking ahead to 2021, Patrick Mahomes has his sights set on even bigger and better things. Listen to this.
Are there any records that you have your eyes set on breaking?
Yeah, the only record I have my eyes set on breaking, which it'd be new this year, going 20-0.
Okay.
You know, it's not really a record to be broken, I guess you'd say, but I think 19-0 is the record right now. So being able to go 20-0, be the first one to do that, that'd be awesome.
To be clear, no one has gone 19-0. A team that when the Dolphins went the perfect season, they went 17-0 because the regular season was only 14 games then. But Rob Ninkovich, you weren't on the Patriot team that won their first 18 games, but I know from all the guys you played with that you have an interesting perspective on this.
Yeah, I think that being undefeated really, we all go into the season saying, yeah, you want to win every game, but being undefeated is an unnecessary pressure. And I can remember back to, 2010, 2011, when you would just lose your first game, it was like a relief just knowing, okay, well, all that undefeated stuff, everyone outside the building can stop talking about it because it can really put a certain stress on you that really you don't need it. I mean, if you think about the 2007 Patriots, I'm sure everybody on that roster would say that they'd rather have lost a regular season game than losing that one game in the Super Bowl is probably more devastating than anything else you could think of. So for me, I get it. I mean, I love the competitiveness of Patrick Mahomes, but to say 20-0, it really puts a pressure on your team that in today's game, it's not necessary to even win every game. I know you never say that, but at one point in the season, if you lose one game and slip up, you learn from that mistake. You'd rather lose in the regular season than in the playoffs or especially the Super Bowl. So I just think that 20-0, yeah, it's great to say it, but I think it's just unrealistic.
Dominique, what do you think?
I think for teams like this, you got to find ways to motivate yourself. And I know losing in the Super Bowl is enough motivation, but from week to week, we saw them last year playing close games with teams that we thought they were better than, and even lose to teams that we thought that they were much better than. So I imagine part of this might help them from a motivational standpoint, but I understand what Rob is saying. It's an emotional tax. Every week, the pressure ramps up. And we talk about like physical exhaustion, and we don't talk as much about psychological and emotional exhaustion. And I imagine that if you get to week 10 and you haven't lost, you get to week 14, you haven't lost, you're at week 18, you haven't lost. There's a lot of pressure, and that's even before you get to the playoffs. And then the pressure keeps ramping up. And I think that you could get to a point where you are quite taxed by the time you get to that championship game emotionally more than physically.
And Jeremy Fowler, you were telling us in our meeting this morning, the Chiefs believe they are markedly better than they were when they walked off the field at the end of the Super Bowl. Why is that?
Yeah, Greeny, Mahomes is probably riding high off of OTAs and seeing his team in person and those big new offensive linemen getting excited. Because I asked around to some Chiefs people, they said, look, we need to get our edge back. We just simply weren't as good of a roster as we thought we were. You go to 2 Super Bowls, it's just not enough. So they loaded up in the draft and free agency. And there was a sense last week like, okay, we don't know exactly where this is going to go, but as far as overall talent, we're in the best place we've been in a very long time.
Yeah, so Dominique, just quickly back to you. The pressure is what the pressure is. Wanting it is whatever it is. Assuming you go on the field every single week trying to win a football game, and this year being the 1 seed is more important than it's ever been in the history of the league. Dominique, can they do it?
I think they can. Yeah, I think it's a long shot, obviously, because chances are they're going to slip up one time or another. But I think that they have been the best team in football for the past 3 years. Even though they haven't won the Super Bowl every year, they've probably been the best team in large part because of how good Patrick Mahomes is. I think a lot of people are going to pick them to win the Super Bowl coming into the season, and they're likely to be favorites in every game they play. So absolutely, they can win every game. Should they want to? It's a different question. And I think that goes back to what Rob was saying. That's a lot of emotional tax on them. But yes, they're good enough to beat everybody that's on their schedule this year.
All right, we'll keep an eye on that there. Let me take a short break on that thought on this Memorial Day. We continue in just a moment. And a reminder that the Memorial Day triple header from the majors is coming your way today on ESPN. Starting 1 o'clock Eastern, we'll have the Twins and the Orioles. Then the Red Sox play the Astros in Houston. And finally, it's the Royals and the Pirates. It's a triple header of action today on ESPN and on the ESPN app. Coming up, he is headed into his second season in the NFL, but is it already a make or break year for Tua? Dominique will answer that question. And how healthy is Odell? And is he the key to a Cleveland Super Bowl run? Answers to all those and other questions as we get up with you on ESPN.
He owns Hembo.
He did. West did at a time where there were no three-point shots, and he is the all-time leader. We'll talk about the Lakers in a minute, but speaking of three-point shots, let's talk about someone who knows how to make those. Hawks and Knicks, and there's Trae Young with the hoodie that says, "Can't believe you doubted me," and he left no doubt yesterday. For the second straight game, the Hawks exploding in the third quarter. This one was close at halftime, and it wasn't by the time Trae Young and company got done with the third. Look at the moves there. The Hawks just pulling away as he makes the move on Reggie Bullock. You see the fans, ice Trae, ice cold. He was feeling it. Hawks outscored the Knicks by 13 in the third. Then in the fourth, the frustration setting in for New York. Things getting chippy. Hawks up 23. That's Danilo Gallinari. A little elbow in the back there on Reggie Bullock, who didn't like it, and he had to be held back from going after him. And so then coming out of a timeout, that Bullock would be on the bench. And they're going to get the ball to Gallinari, and Julius Randle is going to send a message with a forearm shiver. He would get a flagrant one for that. He wouldn't return after that. He scored 23 with 5 turnovers. Trae Young had 27 points, 9 assists. What's really important is the Atlanta Hawks have taken total control of this best-of-7 series with a great performance of that man, Trae Young. In his first 4 career playoff games, he has created 204 points. He has been simply unstoppable. And again, the Hawks just look like they are definitively the better team. And so let me bring Seth into the conversation on that thought. What are you seeing now through 4 games of a series we thought was supposed to be completely evenly matched?
The Hawks are a better basketball team. They have more ways to score. They have more playmakers, shot makers, and they got Trae Young. And, look, the playoffs are about adjustments, but the Knicks have very few adjustments. The one adjustment, they've got to trap and get the ball out of Trae Young's hands, because if he has the ball in his hands, he's either going to score it or make a play for someone else. But it's the complementary players that really kind of make his game even that much easier, because if you do double him, they can get the ball reversed and have shot makers. The Knicks, what's their offensive adjustment? All right, Atlanta's going to double Randle, all right, and when he kicks it out, who makes a play? They don't have floor gamers or shot makers. This series is over.
I agree with you. The Knicks are a testament to how many regular season games you can win if you just play hard every night, because not everybody does. But when you get into a situation like this, the Hawks are just the better team. And very quickly, just what are we seeing in Trae Young? Again, we just put up that statistic about what he's done in these first 4 games. What is he becoming right in front of our eyes right now?
He's got a PhD in ball screen offense. He's become a junior Steph Curry, quite honestly. His ability to navigate, put his defense on skates. He shoots it with logo range, but it's not the logo range. It's all the other things, the pace that he's playing with. The game is in slow motion to him. He reads all 5 defenders every time he comes off that ball screen. Every single decision you make defensively, he has a solution for. All right, you trap him, he's going to hit the short roller. If you help off the weak side, he's going to skip it. They're going to knock down threes. All right, his ability to see the defense and make the right play, he's dominated the game from the point guard position, and the Knicks have no solution.
I'm with you. Over the last week and a half, Trae Young has gone from a name everybody knows to a legit NBA star. Meanwhile, let's speak of another star here. Going back to the Lakers, Anthony Davis leaves the game with an injury to the groin, did not return. It didn't look good. If Davis doesn't come back, what happens to the Lakers in what is now a best-of-3 with Phoenix?
Yeah, the Phoenix win. As long as Chris Paul stays healthy, Phoenix will win this series. I mean, Anthony Davis, one of the best players in the NBA, an elite defender. He gets to the free throw line. He changes their DNA. Here's my question. Lakers, you're struggling. 1, Drummond out, Gasol in. He can stretch the defense and open up the floor for LeBron James to at least drive it and get to the rim. And what's happened to Montrezl Harrell? He was the 6th man of the year a year ago. He can't get in the game. But here's the deal. If AD doesn't play, this series is over.
Remarkable. We could be that close to the Lakers getting bounced here. So all eyes and ears will be on that injury situation. And Seth, we'll come back to you in just a little bit. That's my Uncle Seth, no relation, Seth Greenberg with us here. Meanwhile, quickly, back to the NFL. And let's talk